Yo, mates. Sup with it, boxing fans and casuals. Welcome back as usual. So, yes, like the title says, everybody loves to hit the mitts. Yes, indeed, everyone. From casuals, noobs, amateurs, pros, MMA fighters, even garage athletes. I bet you even Vladimir Putin hits the mitts in his spare time. No matter how tired a boxer is after sparring, he won't turn down some pad work. Ask him to go for a run with you. Hell no. But ask him to hit the pads and it's on. And I do have to admit, pads are fun, and not only for the boxers, but also the coach. I enjoy holding the pads myself, but rarely get a chance to hit them. But I've learned over the years to be very selective as to whom, when, where, and why I hold the pads. Mitts can also be very hazardous to one's health, especially in the joint areas, wrist, elbows, and shoulders, just to name a few. Pads are not heavy bags, you see, but most people tend to think that they have to blast the pads and hit them as hard as possible with all their might. And that's where the problem starts. After a few years of impact of that nature, one might have great regrets. So what's the purpose of mitts? Especially if you can't blast them as hard as you want and hit them with all your might. Well, for starters, that's what the heavy bags are for. They're able to take the impact for years without a problem, especially a well-constructed made heavy bag. For me, the pads are a tool to teach the correct science of punching to a boxer. A tool to hone the boxer's skills to even greater levels. The pads are not only for offense, they can also be used to sharpen the boxer's defensive capabilities. They even can be used as a form of exercise for the boxer and coach. Now, before I go any further, I'm in no way saying that I'm an expert on the pads, but I have spent many years utilizing the pads and have come to my own conclusions, which may vary from others based upon my findings and my findings alone. There's a new style of trainer out there called mitt coaches. Mitt coaches primarily hold mitts and do not teach the fundamentals of boxing, especially to the beginners. They also tend to neglect form and technique. But for some strange reason, most are satisfied with this because mitts are cool and they're hitting the mitts, looking good. Mitt coaches, due to their lack of capability to teach the art of boxing, tend to overcompensate with mitts and mitts only. What are the signs of a mitt coach? They teach out of their garages. They do not cover defensive footwork or correct punching. They really don't move around while holding the mitts. So therefore, the boxer also does not move around and does not develop footwork and many other aspects of boxing, which are very necessary. Mitt coaches also most times are not in shape, hence the lack of moving around. Mitts coaches also post videos of themselves holding mitts with hot chicks wearing revealing clothes that don't even box. The styles that a mitt coach develops with the boxers are usually unrealistic and could never be used truly in a boxing scenario in the ring. At the same time, though, I will admit there are real boxing coaches that at times utilize the mitt coach style, but at least they actually do know the difference. I believe that a coach should be in fairly decent shape so that he can work and keep up with the boxer during mitts, instead of just standing there holding the mitts looking cool. What's my style of mitts, you might ask? I really don't think I have a particular style, but I try my best to use a logical and old school approach to my pad work. I move with my boxers. I request punches that are feasible and can be utilized in the ring. And as an added bonus, I normally get a good workout while holding the pads for myself. By today's standards, there are many new tools besides the mitts to aid in teaching the boxer striking techniques besides the punching bag and mitts. There are punch shields that allow the boxer to punch harder without risk of injury to the holder. There are paddles that are really not made for hard impact but more crisp, speedy punches. There's even pool noodles have become very popular over the years. There are body shields that are more heavy duty and sturdy, allowing for greater impact to the rear also. Correct holding of the pads are very important also. Once the trust has been developed between coach and boxer, pads should be held at face, height, and level, and grouped together for realistic and realism instead of mitts being held loosely and wide apart, causing the boxer to overextend most of their punches. Once the boxer has become more efficient at punching the pads, smaller pads and smaller ounce gloves can be used for faster punches and also precision and accuracy on the smaller targets, which is great, especially pre-fight training and so forth. So what about Floyd and Roger Mayweather and their mitt style then? I honestly believe that style of mitts was created for the counterpuncher more than anything else. Also, considering Floyd was very good and unique and had the ability to punch correctly on the pads at times. Although most attempts to imitate the Mayweather mitt style without even knowing what the hell they're really doing and why. Does a boxer need to hit the pads to be a great fighter? Nah, not at all. Jack Johnson has never hit the pads. I could mention many more boxers that have never hit the pads and became champions of the world. You know, hardly any boxer in the 70s and before hit pads because they were either not around back then or they were considered to be very silly. I'm not a boxing historian, but I can't say I've ever seen the great Muhammad Ali hitting the pads, and he's a legend in boxing. Most old school trainers believe that the pads have made boxers less of punchers, more soft and dependent on tools such as the pads. Back in the old days, hitting the bags and sparring were the boxer's pad work and pad work alone. Look, man, I have no problem with pads. Like I said, I use them myself. I am very selective as to when, who, where, why. I usually hold pads for new boxers when I'm teaching them things, quite obviously. And secondly, but not last, pre-fight training involves a lot of pad work with me and the body shield, pool noodles, paddles, you name it. It's just part of the game and what I offer. I really hope you get my point on this topic. Be leery of coaches offering mitts instead of real boxing training. If you're getting more pad work than actual technical boxing training, seek another gym and trainer quickly. If the coach teaches out of his garage and videotapes all the sessions, he's a mitt coach, and you should flee immediately before your boxing is, well, you know, ruined and you get too dependent on hitting the mitts and mitts only. If the coach offers no pad work at all, don't sweat it at all, because you most likely have found an old school coach that will teach you all you need to know about boxing without the needs of gimmicks and gadgets. If you are extremely fortunate and you do find a coach that offers and teaches great technical boxing and utilizes the use of the mitts and pads, you might just end up being the next champion of the world, no matter what your weight division is, after putting in the necessary work, of course. Anyway, I believe that's a wrap. All right then, boxing fans and practitioners, Let me know what you think about this if you have any thoughts worth sharing. If not, I hope that you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned, there's more, way more to come as time permits. Catch you all next time, and thanks for stopping by. As usual, I'm out.